Next on CBS Sports, the NCAA Basketball Championship.
From the Meadowlands Arena in East Rutherford, New Jersey, a semifinal in the East Regional, the 6th-seeded Virginia Cavaliers against the 2nd-seeded Cincinnati Bearcats. The winner of this game will advance to Sunday's finals against either North Carolina, the top seed, or 4th-seeded Arkansas. Those two teams will meet here in northern New Jersey later tonight. Good evening, everybody. I'm Vern Lundquist along with Clark Kellogg. It's a pleasure to have you with us. A really exciting matchup, and if you wanted to epitomize Cincinnati, Clark, what word do you pick?
High intensity. I got to go 4 words. High intensity, tenacious, in your face, all night long defensive pressure. That's what Virginia will have to deal with tonight.
Well, if I'm a Virginia fan, I say, how do you do that?
Well, one thing you have to do when you play Cincinnati is you must make basketball plays. You've got to be strong with the basketball, and you must be in an attack mode. That means when you break the pressure, you have to look to make baskets.
It's Virginia out of the ACC against Cincinnati, representing the great Midwest Conference. Back with the starting lineups and the tip right after this.
CBS Sports.
Brendan Byrne Meadowlands Arena has been sold out, though not every seat is filled yet. Let's check the lineups. First of all, for the Virginia Cavaliers, they come in with a 21-9 record. They have Junior Burrow and Jason Williford starting, along with Ted Jeffries at center. Cornell Parker, number 5, and Corey Alexander, who may be the key as far as Virginia is concerned. Tonight he's the leading scorer and will bring the ball up. For Cincinnati, it's going to be Eric Martin, and Terry Nelson gets the start at 1 forward, Corey Blunt at the other. Terrence Gibson off the bench starts for Alan Jackson, who will not see action tonight with an injury. And the other starter is the 3rd-team All-American Nick Van Exel. Bob Huggins, in his 4th year as the head coach of the Bearcats, 77 graduate of West Virginia, and Jeff Jones, 33-year-old head coach of the Virginia Cavaliers at the end of his 3rd full season. The referees tonight are Dave Libby, David Hall, and Tom Lopes. This is a Cincinnati team that advanced with decisive victories over Coppin State and New Mexico State. The average margin of their wins, 32 points. For Virginia, they ousted Manhattan by 12 in the first round and then knocked off a strong UMass team to reach this game. Cincinnati controls. Eric Martin hands it back to Nick Van Exel.
You're going to see man-to-man from both of these teams. Virginia pretty stingy at their defensive end, only allowing the opposition to shoot 41% from the floor.
Van Exel, who has been in a shooting slump, ends that with a punctuation point. He gets the 3, and there's a turnover off Virginia. That is the Van Exel 3-pointer. He had 10 points in the last 2 games.
Well, he's capable of volcanic eruptions as a scorer. They haven't needed him to score in the first 2 games of the tournament. He could have a huge night tonight.
Here's Terrence Gibson, the senior from Dothan, Alabama. Van Exel, will it be 2 in a row? Yes. 5-0, and here comes the pressure. They do get it across the timeline, and at the other end, it's Junior Burrow, and it won't go. Chased down by Eric Martin. The outlet pass to Gibson. 5-0 Cincinnati, and they have the ball. Back it comes to Terry Nelson. Underneath Eric Martin, and he is fouled.
Martin has had a fabulous tournament thus far. 19 points, 10 boards a game, 67% shooting. And I don't know if there's a player in the country at 6'6", 210 pounds that can do what he can do inside. He's so strong up in the air when he goes up to score inside.
Gibson inbounds back to Terry Nelson. They haven't missed. Corey Blunt gets 2. And it's a 7-0 Cincinnati lead. Quickly back to Parker. Now Alexander, the point guard, number 12. He averages 19 points a game.
Here's a key guy for Virginia. Junior Burrow has struggled with consistency this year, but he needs to have a solid game in the paint area. You know what Corey Alexander can do off the dribble, but Junior Burrow needs to do some damage in the paint.
7-0 early on. 18:25 to go, first half of play. Here's Ted Jeffries, the center, back to Alexander. This tenacious man-to-man defense. You'll see it for the full 40 minutes. Parker for 2. That's for 3. They have changed it. He was across the line. And a most significant early game basket for Virginia. They are now 1 of 2. Cincinnati has not missed.
One of the things to keep an eye on is shot volume. Cincinnati typically gets 10 to 12 more shots than the opposition because they turn them over. If Virginia can maximize possession and make their good look, they'll stay in this game.
Terry Nelson off the glass with the attempted alley-oop. Virginia controls and the chance to cut the lead. 7-3 right now. Alexander. Williford cuts across. Jeffries pops out, but the turnover is forced by Cincinnati. Van Exel, guarded by Alexander, goes by him, dishes to Nelson, who can't hang on. And that's the second Cincinnati turnover. For 3, Alexander, and the lead is at 1. Back-to-back three-pointers propel the Cavaliers back into the thick of it. 7-6, nearing the 17-minute mark.
Good matchup here. Parker on Gibson.
Rebound, Cincinnati. Loose ball, Nelson kicks it out. Gibson is stripped. Alexander dishes left side. Good. Virginia leads.
Very aggressive in transition. That created by the turnover. Corey Alexander with the quick hands, and you must capitalize anytime you turn the Bearcats over.
This is a Cincinnati team known for obtaining the turnovers, forcing them, not committing them.
They've really been somewhat passive in their pressure. Even after they scored the first 3 baskets of this game, they've been a little passive in terms of trapping in the half court.
Corey Blunt gets it to fall. It's 9-8.
There's no real heat here. Pressure on the basketball, Gibson laying in the gap, but not a lot of trapping, harassing pressure by Cincinnati to start the game.
Williford. Jeffries, no. It was Williford, and that ball is out of bounds. It'll be Cincinnati's inbound. The Bearcats jump to a 7-0 lead. It's cut, but they still lead by 1.
Force some turnovers yourself. Corey Alexander for Virginia. Quick hands, gets it away from Terrence Gibson, and then finds Jason Williford streaking to the goal.
9-8 Cincinnati inbounds. No lineup changes during the timeout. Virginia won't make many. They go primarily with a 7-man outfit. You will see subs off the bench for Cincinnati. They are much deeper than are the Cavaliers. And there is a sub in the lineup now for Cincinnati. Lizelle Durden has come in, number 23. So he's joined by Van Exel, Blunt, Terry Nelson, and Eric Martin. 5-second count.
Cornell Parker at 6'6" really bothered Durden. He had about 4 inches on him, got him hemmed up on the sideline, and that was another defender and forced the turnover. Excellent work by Cornell Parker, who to me is another key for Virginia. He's a multi-dimensional player, can finish at the goal, and he's an excellent defender and rebounder.
Jeffries walked. Well, this is a Cincinnati team, as we said, not known for turning it over. They average only 14 a game. Already, Clark, 4 turnovers from the early going.
I think a little early game jitters both ways. Both teams trying to settle into a rhythm and get comfortable. And Cincinnati, again, maybe a little leery of Corey Alexander's ball handling and quickness, not really pressuring as hard as I've seen him pressure in the last couple of games.
9-8, Cincinnati leads it. Whistle and a foul called away from the ball on Virginia.
Take a look at how Martin sits down in the post. There he is in the middle of your screen. He's almost eclipsed Jason Williford, who's forced to foul, and that is his second.
That is also the second team foul. Now for Virginia, Doug Smith comes in.
Don't hold him!
Bostic is back in, or in the lineup now for Cincinnati. Lizelle Durden for 3. Rebound, Martin comes down with it. Harris is along the baseline, and a whistle and a foul. Hit the underside of the backboard, it would be Cincinnati's to inbound. Chris Havlicek is on the bench for Virginia. I thought for a moment he'd come in. He is not. Doug Smith has come in the lineup now, number 11 for the Cavaliers. Ian Alexander in the backcourt. Here's Van Exel. Off the mark. Rebound Jeffries. Dead Jeffries, the leading rebounder for Virginia. And a check for the Cavaliers to reclaim the lead. That'll be a foul called on Curtis Bostic, the sophomore from Brockton, Mass.
Well, you look at Curtis Bostic, a tremendous athlete. He is cut up like a diamond in terms of the lumps on his body.
well sculpted, I would say.
Exactly. Nothing extra there, but giving up a lot of size to Junior Burrow.
Doug Smith, entry pass, the pump fake. Excellent move.
Beautiful execution. Really important that Virginia maximize their half-court opportunities by throwing it inside to Burrow and Jeffries, and then they need those guys to convert when they get good looks in the paint. Cincinnati, on the other hand, has pretty much been a perimeter team these first few possessions. They need to try to look inside and get Blunt and Martin going a little bit in the paint area.
There's a double team on Bostic. They kick it back to Martin. Rebound, Junior Burrow. And Virginia in transition. Cornell Parker takes it, kicks it back to Burrow. He'll take the jumper off the mark. Durden with the rebound for Cincinnati. 10-9 Virginia, 13:40 to go, first half. Van Exel, excellent pass.
Penetrating dish. Van Exel very capable of not only getting his own, but also able to create, draw defenders, and give it up to Blunt. See, he draws 3 orange jerseys here. Knows somebody is loose. Nice cut by Blunt. He'll get himself to the line.
Substitutions for Cincinnati. Lozelle Durden and Eric Martin go out. Terrence Gibson is back in, and so also is Terry Nelson. And it'll be Jeffries and Parker along with Smith, Alexander, and Yuri Barnes, number 24, has come off the bench now for the Cavaliers. At the line, Corey Blunt, not a good free throw shooter. He averages 55% for the season.
I saw Cincinnati back in December when they got blasted at Indiana. Blunt was not part of the team then simply because the NCAA was deciding whether or not they were going to restore eligibility because of a medical red shirt in junior college, and he's been back now for about 12 or 13 games and really has made this a different team because of his shot blocking and rebounding presence. He's made their pressure a lot more effective.
There's the kick by Bostic. That Indiana loss was one of only 4 suffered by Cincinnati. They come in with a 26-4 mark and the number 2 seed. I haven't seen the emotion or the tenacity that you expected to see.
Exactly, and I'm a little curious as to why that is. Maybe, again, Cincinnati just thinking they can't afford to go all out in their pressure against Alexander because he's so good and quick with the ball.
Tied at 10. Jeffries, strong move, shot not so good. And a rather vocal rebound underneath.
Plenty of grunting and groaning going on in the paint.
Cincinnati's Van Exel kicks it back to Nelson, who has trouble hanging on again. Terry Nelson, who came up to my partner during the warm-ups and said, I am a stat sheet stuffer.
Well, I told you, you've got to score some points. You've got to post some numbers to qualify as a stat sheet stuffer. Nelson is pretty much a defender and a rebounder and kind of keeps his teammates loose with his chatter.
Subs getting ready to come back in. For Cincinnati, Eric Martin re-enters the game, and for Virginia, Junior Burrow. And now number 21, Keith Greger, will enter the lineup. Freshman from Cincinnati.
And from Virginia to the game, number 4, Junior Burrow.
Well, you can see Cincinnati a little out of sync because they rely so much on their pressure defense to turn people over and get them in their transition game. And Virginia, again, tough defensively in the half court, not giving up many easy shots.
Here comes Cincinnati on the run, but Virginia, a good job of getting back defensively. Back it goes to Gibson for 3. Got it. Terrence Gibson, a 31% shooter from three-point range over the course of the season. Gets that one.
He's had some kind of tournament thus far. Went for a career high 25 in last week's second game. really shot the ball well. 10 of 13 in the first 2 tournament games.
13-10. Alexander, too strong. Rebound, Virginia. Nice putback. Junior Burrow gets 2. A 1-point game, 13-12. Van Exel for 3. Hit his first 2 shots, hasn't hit anything since. 13-12, and a chance for Virginia to go back on top. A little casual play by Parker. Van Exel. Wonderful play.
A little show and tell. You called it perfectly. Parker casual with the orange, and Van Exel stop, go, crossover to the cup, and he'll get 1. Wrong move by Nick Van Exel, and again, he is very explosive offensively because he can shoot the 3, and he also is a guy that can create shots on the move.
Ted Jeffries checks back in, replacing Yuri Barnes. Van Exel will go to the free throw line after the 4th team foul. That foul on Parker was his first personal. Three-point play for Van Exel. 11:33 to go first half. The Bearcats of Cincinnati up by 4.
Well, Vern, last weekend after Virginia beat UMass in the 2nd round, the players were in a post-game press conference when they heard what Cincinnati was doing to New Mexico State. Now, Corey Alexander told me that it was a little scary to hear a score like 39-8, but Virginia is very happy with the way that they have prepared for Cincinnati. They took a page out of the UAB playbook, or rather in the practice book, and they decided to practice with 6 players on defense this week. UAB beat Cincinnati 1 time this season, and they played them tough another time. Vern?
All right, Andrea. Seems to have worked.
So far, so good. One of the keys to handling the pressure is, again, good, solid play with the ball, but also not going into the trapping zones, which are along the sideline.
Eric Martin gets the feed from Van Exel, and it's 18-12. Since the opening 7-0 run, this is the largest Cincinnati lead. Here's Smith, has a man loose underneath, and how about the block by Blunt? Whoa! Van Exel put back at both ends. Corey Blunt blocked the shot, got the stop.
One of the dangers against a team like Cincinnati is their spurt ability. Because they're so strong defensively, they deny you shots and make you pay at the other end.
Junior Burrow counters for Virginia. It's a 6-point lead.
One of the ways you get Cincinnati out of that racehorse style, you must convert. That slows them down a little bit because they've got to take it out of the net.
Blunt and Martin, Van Exel, Gibson, and Gregor on the court now for Cincinnati. Here's Blunt. Back to Gibson. No. Virginia chases it down. Junior Burrow gets in the hands of Corey Alexander. He's guarded by Gibson. Kicks it back to Doug Smith. Jeffries, short. Cincinnati, 2-on-3. Van Exel puts it up anyway. And they got Gibson shoving off underneath.
Take a look at Corey Blunt wiping it away and keeping it. Now he pushes it ahead. Cincinnati has numbers. They're not going to get the initial thrust, but in transition, Blunt in the middle of his screen sends it home on the follow. Great work by Corey Blunt at both ends of the floor.
Gibson with a foul, his first. That's the 3rd team foul. Cornell Parker back in the lineup for Virginia, number 5. Back it goes to Alexander. Martin with a rebound. .23 remaining. Winner of this one gets either North Carolina or Arkansas. They meet in game 2 here later tonight. There's the reach around by Williford. Shot clock at 20. Van Exel. Gibson by Parker, short with a shot. And that will be Cincinnati's ball. Near the conclusion of tonight's game, Clark and I'll select the Chevrolet player of the game from each team. Chevrolet donates a $1,000 scholarship to the General Scholarship Fund of each school. 20-14, 8:51 remaining first half. Vern Lundquist, Clark Kellogg here at the Meadowlands Arena in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Terry Nelson to Gibson. Gibson gets the follow. Nice job. Whoa! Terrific mid-air adjustment.
Long missed shots lead to long rebounds. And Gibson able to get his own and get to the cup. Take a look at him hanging in the air, avoiding Jeffries. Actually slithered beneath Jeffries and got it up and down.
Corey Blunt comes back in the lineup now, number 44, and Keith Gregor will get a rest for the Cincinnati Bearcats.
Well, you see Bob Huggins shuffling people in and out, looking to keep all of his troops fresh so they can continue to keep pretty good pressure on you for 40 minutes.
Bob Huggins, by the way, has promised to shave his head if the team gets back to the Final Four. Actually, his players have promised to shave his head for him, so that's going to work.
Well, that would be fun to watch.
Back it goes to Williford. Good ball movement. Left corner three.
Beautiful.
Good stuff. Here's Van Exel at the other end. Alexander, good job of getting back. Oh, my. Blunt's rebound effort not quite good enough.
You question that shot by Van Exel, 1-on-2, but again, you typically get offensive rebounds if you miss that kind of shot. Cincinnati just didn't convert.
Off balance jumper is no good. Terry Nelson quickly out to Blunt. 22-17 with 7:30 to go, first half of play. Van Exel. That's off of Virginia, Jason Williford. And it'll be Cincinnati's ball. 22-17, first half of play.
And then he quickly swings it to Alexander for the wide open three. We call that the pass before the pass.
And Virginia 3 of 4 from three-point range. Now we're at the Meadowlands Arena. We have 7:14 remaining in the first half of play. Virginia fell behind 7-0 at the outset of the game, stormed back to claim a lead, then fell behind by 8. But through the use of the threes, like you just saw, they climbed back in it. They now trail the heavily favored Cincinnati Bearcats by 5, 22-17.
Again, Virginia's a pretty solid defensive team, so you're not going to get much easy in your half-court game. You've got to be patient, and you must dribble penetrate to draw defenders to get high-quality shots.
They kick it back out to Gibson. Van Exel, who has hit only one of his last 8 shots, the shot clock at 4. And he is now 1 of 9 since hitting his first 2. That ball rejected. Then saved. It's on the line. It'll be Virginia ball. No, beg your pardon. Cincinnati ball.
This is FedEx in reverse. Nelson sees this one go behind him as Virginia doing a nice job stopping that shot by Terry Nelson, and Cincinnati dominating the glass, but it's not really showing up on the scoreboard as Virginia, by virtue of the three-point shot, able to maintain pretty good contact here.
Cincinnati is 2 of 10 from three-point range. There's a foul called away from the ball.
Well, Nick Van Exel, looking to be a little more offensive-minded than he was in the first and second round tournament games, really has to start now thinking about, I don't have it going, so I need to maybe get involved with distributing the ball to my teammates. He's taken a couple of questionable shots, and you can live with it when you're making it.
You can almost sense, though, Clark, he hit those first 2, and you can see his confidence was almost palpable. And then, bingo, bottom fell out.
Well, he's a streaky shooter at best.
Gibson, 1 move too many. Foul on Gibson. That'll be his second foul and the team 5th foul on Cincinnati.
Cincinnati foul number 10.
Terrence Gibson will give way now to Lizelle Durden, number 23. This young man averaged 39 points per game in high school his senior year.
That's filling it up.
Talking yesterday about he's one of the few pure shooters that Bob Huggins has recruited at Cincinnati. Underneath, off of Junior Burrow.
Well, that was the right idea. That pass was hot but catchable.
Cincinnati, one of its last 11 field goals.
And again, a lot of those shots are pretty much challenged perimeter shots. They really aren't getting anything of high quality in their half-court game.
A Cincinnati team that averaged 92 points in its first 2 games, and they've got 22, and they've been stuck here for a while. That one goes.
How about the elevation?
Yeah.
I mean, he just jumped over his defender there. I think Martin's got to touch it a little more. I really do. I mean, this guy's shooting 67%, and he scored 19 points a game in your first 2, and he hasn't had many touches here in the first half.
Especially, I think, Clark, when other guys are struggling to get him involved. That ball knocked away by Terry Nelson, and then the jump hook by Jeffries goes down.
When he's under control and in his range, he's an effective scorer.
Jeffries with 4. He averages 10.
Yeah, he's having a career year. 10 points a game, 8 boards, plus 50% shooting.
24-19.
Tough matchup for Jeffries here.
Martin. Good defensive job by Jeffries, and he hurries downfield. There's incidental contact and no foul call. Corey Alexander, who's been limited to 1 3-point basket. That was early in this game. He averages 19 points. They've had Van Exel in his face most of the first half. Good job of backing in. The tip is too strong, and Van Exel has it. Now, will he pull up and take the jumper? No. They spot up for the 3. Durden, no. Back to Van Exel for 3. No. Blunt. Rejected by Welford, and Virginia has it. Nick Van Exel with the foul.
Well, you take a look at what Cincinnati has done. No wonder they're dominating the boards. They're making plenty of rebounds available with that kind of shooting. And they're an excellent team on the offensive glass because they've got good quickness and tenacity at every position. So they get an awful lot of second shot tries.
Doug Smith comes back in the lineup. He's a senior guard from Fayetteville, Tennessee. This is his 117th game, and he has never started. Number 11. Another turnover. That's 7 on Virginia. Van Exel. Durden got it. Keith Gregor's also come in the lineup for Cincinnati, and the lead is back to 7.
Cincinnati's so quick with their hands inside. If you're a big guy in the low post, you need to keep the ball in your chest and shoulder area where you've got the most strength. If you bring it down, they'll strip you.
Cincinnati defense forces 21 turnovers per game. Virginia now has committed 8.
When we set out to design the new Geo Prism, the possibilities were endless. Then, step by step, we built a car that's as well thought out as it is well engineered. Once you see the end result, we think you'll agree. It all came together beautifully. Get to know the newest Geo Prism, at your Chevrolet Geo dealers.
Scaled it, jumped it, skied it, surfed it. Rode it, dove it, flew it, crashed it. Never slammed it, never guzzled it.
You've never done nothing till you do Diet Do.
Did it, dug it, savored it, relished it.
Hey man, let's do this again.
It's tough to keep ahead of the competition. You gotta move fast to stay on top. You need 2-day priority mail. In 2 days, we deliver 2 pounds for only $2.90. If the competition's new rates are just too much, visit your post office to send 2-day priority mail or call 1-800-USPS for your free starter kit.
We deliver for you.
Just a hoot and a holler. Hey everybody, I'm Pat O'Brien, and on the other side of the river here in New York City in our New York studios, along with Mike Francesa and Digger Phelps. Just to remind you, this is a tournament. We have basketball going on in the western part of this country up in Seattle. You're looking at George Washington University and Michigan. Michigan in maize. George Washington with the ball right now. 2-0 very early in this game. Remind you that at halftime, we're going to give you a big taste of this West Regional semifinal game with Jim Nance and Billy Packer. Let's send you back now to Vern Lundquist and Clark Kellogg. Vern.
3:25 remaining in the first half. There's the entry pass to Blunt. The turnaround jumper is good. And this is the largest lead of the ball game now at 9 points, 28-19. But it has been cold shooting by both clubs thus far. Virginia, nice one-touch pass underneath to Jeffries. Junior Burrow, beg your pardon, number 4.
Well, that's what you have to do. You have to be strong with it and go aggressively to the goal. Virginia has had opportunities to convert, but I don't think they've converted a high enough percentage of those good looks inside.
Pretty good struggle by Blunt and Burrow, and they're going to get Blunt.
Blunt with the little lower body root canal there picks up the foul.
Field goal percentage both below 40. Cincinnati 2 of 12 on three-point attempts, but they have converted 12 fast break points. Van Exel hit his first 2 field goals and is 1 of 11 since then.
It's been a struggle, but he is a streaky shooter at best, and he has the green light, which is somewhat dangerous for a streaky shooter. He'll knock 2 down and figure he's on the roll and then do what Van Exel has done in missing his last 11.
1 for 1 and 1, and Burrow misses it. That's the first free throw attempt for Virginia in the ball game. 28-21 with 2:36 to go first half. Durden pops out. Now they work the ball over left side. Underneath, Nelson got 2, and he'll shoot 1.
A little pick and slip. Take a look at Nelson, just leaves. Van Exel waits for him to make his cut. No help on the backside for Virginia until it's too late. Junior Burrow guilty of the foul. But that was an excellent read by Terry Nelson. He doesn't give you many points. He gives you defense and intelligence, and you saw a sign of his intelligence there as he felt the pick, felt the defenders, and just left them and got the easy layup.
He is an aspiring nightclub comic. Not an aspiring professional free throw shooter. He's hitting 55% from the free throw line. Bob Huggins, 4th year at Cincinnati. This is a team that is 55-9 over the last 2 years. And they feel somewhat jaded. They don't feel like the country gives them the amount of respect that they've deserved.
Well, they're certainly on their way to earning it with the victory here tonight.
Alexander still limited to 3 points. And that's going to be a foul on Cincinnati. And on Corey Blunt in particular. That'll send Yuri Barnes, a sophomore from Richmond, to the free throw line. Neither one of these teams terrific free throw shooting teams. They're both below 70%.
Right. Both of these teams could do a little better at the stripe. But sometimes you can make up for that with the three-point shot or by virtue of getting a number of easy baskets in transition, which is what Cincinnati typically does.
Hasn't been a particularly well-played game so far.
Well, it's kind of like a bad bowl of oatmeal, a little lumpy.
I just sit here and serve them up. I mean, you know, you dish it out. 2:01 to go. 30-22. Barnes will get another.
Well, I think if Virginia can keep it in a margin of 5 to 8 points, if not better, they'd have to feel pretty good because they've not converted inside with all the opportunities they've had. And they've pretty much been solid at this end of the floor.
There's another Cincinnati turnover. That's their 6th. Jumper short. And they're going to get Yuri Barnes over the top. No. Yes, they did. Coming up at the half, the road to the Final Four with Pat O'Brien, Mike Francesa, and Digger Phelps. And we'll also go out to the West Coast where the top-ranked Michigan Wolverines, having outlasted UCLA last week for taking on George Washington. I think most people think they're going to have a march now into the Final Four.
Yeah, I would agree.
Easy march.
I feel like they're the team that has a great chance to win it all, simply because they've got all the pieces. They've got size and experience off the bench. They've got tremendous talent. The skeptics feel like that team does not play at a high level on a consistent basis.
Are you a skeptic?
No. I mean, I've been a fan of theirs for a while, simply because I think that they've got enough material, and they're going to use that skepticism that exists within the media as fuel for their fire. And I think they're going to make a serious run at winning it all.
Durden tries to save it. He's down. And at the other end, Cincinnati gets it back, and Durden's back on the floor. Really a good effort, but then a poor procedure for Virginia. 31-23. Virginia did lead by 1. They trail right now by 8. They fell behind early on the game, 7-0. Van Exel hit his first 2 shots, 1 of his last 11. Shot clock at 12. Van Exel dishes back in the corner. Durden, no. Martin for the strong rebound, and it's knocked away by Doug Smith. Cincinnati will throw the ball in. 45 seconds to go.
And they'll have an opportunity to play for the last shot. Offensive rebounding, a huge advantage for Cincinnati this half, and now they get a chance to max out the clock and get the last shot of the half.
Martin has it taken away. Oh, what a dandy job by Alexander. And that is taken away at the other end, but Van Exel's on the line.
Yeah, that was a nifty bit of ball handling by Alexander to momentarily avoid the pressure, and then Van Exel, not giving up on the play, came up from behind and knocked it out. Virginia has to try to max it out here and get the last shot of the half and assure themselves of not going into the locker room down double digits. I think psychologically, that's very important for the Cavaliers. What you want to do here is run it down to about 8 or 9, get it into the hands of a shot creator, preferably Corey Alexander, spread your floor, and try to give him room to go one-on-one.
Here's Alexander to Jeffries. And it's rejected by Gregor, who is called for the foul. With 8.9 seconds remaining first half.
Well, he got an awful lot of the orange there, but
sure did.
May have come in and made contact with the body.
Substitution now for Virginia. Sean Wilson, number 52, is going to enter the game for Jeffries after Jeffries shoots the free throws. Jeffries, 59% free throw shooter for the season. Cavaliers are 2 of 4 from the free throw line. Not a decided advantage for Cincinnati. They are 3 of 6. Now Sean Wilson comes in, 6'11", 241-pound junior, and he replaces Jeffries.
Well, they're going to try to clear it for Nick Van Exel here and let him beat Alexander. Corey wants to try to keep Van Exel in front.
Alexander, no, the basket will not count. That's the end of the first half with our score. Cincinnati leading 31-24. Pat O'Brien, Mike Francesa, and Digger Phelps, along with the road to the Final Four after this word and a message from your local station.
CBS Sports exclusive coverage.
CBS, right now, let's take you out for a taste of Michigan, George Washington, 15-2. Jim Nantz and Billy Packer. Enjoy this. We'll see you in a minute.
George Washington trailing 15-2, 0 for 10 from the floor. Bill Brigham with the basketball, scoring the only points on 2 free throws. All 5 starters for Michigan have scored.
Jim, Michigan holds people to 41% shooting. And I think what's happening right now to GW is they're seeing some people that are just so much bigger than what they're used to playing with Oh, good help on a press.
Vaughn Jones scored, and now he gives it up to Holland, and 4 quick ones for GW. Jones first and then Holland.
Nice move by Mike Jarvis to say, hey, I can't play these guys half court. Let's try a little full court.
Oh, they almost got another turnover. They wanted the traveling call, but instead a foul on Jones. Game 1 tonight in Michigan against the 12 seed GW. Later, Vanderbilt and Temple from the Kingdome. 2 A-10 teams playing out west.
Vaughn Jones, who committed that foul, the Matha High School player, 3rd leading scorer in that tremendous history of that school. Nice lob.
And to Jimmy King, who gets right into the face and talks a little trash to Sonny Holland after he dunked over it.
Well, that wasn't the same as putting back a missed shot, but it was the same combination. Jalen Rose, Jimmy King. Here we see Jalen putting up what is a pass, not a shot this time. Jimmy King just catches it, distributes it to the basket, and then wants to talk a little bit to Holland.
This is the problem a lot of people across the country have with the Michigan Wolverines.
Well, one of the things can happen in a game like this is all of a sudden you think it's over instead of keeping that concentration that you had early. And Michigan came out very focused. And they can't afford to just change that attitude just because they had a lead early on. GW now settling down very nicely.
It's a small lineup on the floor, though, compared to Michigan. Sonny Holland trying to challenge the position with Riley. Now they swing it around. Pearsall will take the leap and leaner. Oh, nice tip.
No block out there. And you can see GW trying to press full court zone pressure after all made baskets.
And King drives past Holland.
Oh, good strip.
Jones on the strip. They have the numbers. On the wing, Searles will pull up for it off the glass, and suddenly they're within 7. It was 15-2, now 17-10 Michigan.
Jim, beautiful catch, and he faked off the catch. It changed the entire complexion of the game by changing their defensive strategy. Going full court.
And they're doing this with Dare on the bench. He has not been a factor in this game. 1 rebound and 1 foul for Yinka Dare, the freshman.
Well, Jim, I think the case for that is that Mike Jarvis realized he had to play half court at a time with Dare out there. Now with his smaller lineup, he's gone to full court pressure, trying to score some offense off his defense.
Vaughn Jones came in off the bench and has given this team a real lift. Here he is, 3-point shot, very flat.
Yep.
Air ball out of bounds. Well, 90-91 was the year that Mike Jarvis took over. Can you believe it? The year Michigan won the championship here at the Kingdome, 89. GW was 1-27.
Jim, that was under John Kuster, North Carolina grad, and the next year he kind of turned things around, but they decided to make a change. So a nucleus had been started. GW's entire focus as to how they were going to run their program. Atlantic 10 changed, and they are now in pretty solid shape.
Sonny Holland called on the reach in. That's the 7th team foul against the Colonials, so it'll put Michigan into a 1-1 with Juwan Howard.
Awful early for 1-1. You know, Jim, one of the things about this young man is kind of interesting. One of the best defensive players in the United States for his size. And I was looking over the stats, and it kind of jumped out at me. On the year, he has only blocked 12 shots. Now, when you have an outstanding low-post defender who only has 12 blocks, that means he's a position-type player, not quick off the feet to try to block the shot. The players should catch it, turn, and shoot, not worrying about the...
So in the time you're watching this game, George Washington University trying to climb back into the game with Yinka Dare on the bench. Michigan leads, though, 19-10, and we'll keep you up to date on that ball game all through the evening. Your game is about to start again. Cincinnati up 31-24. Enjoy the second half here on CBS. We'll see you later.
Now McDonald's vertical with the power of Mountain Dew.
Before we start the second half, let's check in quickly with Andrea Joyce.
All right, Vern, as Clark suggested earlier, Virginia feels like they are in decent shape being able to keep the game this close at halftime. They are concerned, though, that Cincinnati has had too many second chances at baskets, and they want their guards to be a lot more aggressive about getting those long rebounds. Back to you, Vern.
As a matter of fact, Andrea, just to underline that point, 15 offensive rebounds for Cincinnati to 7 for Virginia.
And that shows up in the number of shots Cincinnati has been able to get up, 37 versus 27 for Virginia.
Jeffries and Parker. Corey Alexander, who had 6 first-half points, has that ball stripped by Gibson. Here's Van Exel at the other end. And the shot is too strong. The putback is no good. Rebound, Virginia. Van Exel has 1 for his last 11. And 3 for 13 in the ball game now.
He lost control of that ball and got distracted by the defender.
Van Exel hit his first 2 shots, and then things went south.
And then he went 1 for 10. Take a look again. Remember, the white balls are missed shots. The orange ones are converted shots. So he was 1 for 7 from behind the arc, 1 of 3 in the paint area. So a tough shooting half for Nick Van Exel.
Eric Martin with that last foul. Cornell Parker along the baseline. Cal State Bakersfield undefeated this year. They're 32-0. And they make it into the championship game in Springfield, Massachusetts. That will be televised tomorrow afternoon on CBS.
Cincinnati foul number 33, Terry Nelson. That's his first and the team's second.
Terry Nelson guilty of the foul, his second, team first in this half. And Jason Williford goes to the line. He is a 76% free throw shooter, best among the 5 starters for Virginia. Whoa.
Boy, Martin stepped in a little
I thought so, yeah. Martin was right in his face.
It was a 2-shot foul, so there was no need for him to be moving at all.
Well, he got a warning from Dave Hall.
Well, the shot went down, so it's a moot point right now.
Gets the bow. The lead is 5, 31-26. A Virginia team that opened the season undefeated for 11 games, including a win over Duke, and everybody in the country climbed on the bandwagon. Then they lost 4 of their next 5. People fell off in tons. 5-second count.
Well, you have to be alert to that count. You can't just hang on to the ball. That certainly wasn't Eric Martin's fault, though. None of his teammates getting open and making themselves available to receive. And, you know, we talked about how Cincinnati really harasses you and pressures you for 40 minutes.
Offensive foul, no basket.
Nice job by Terry Nelson to step inside and take the charge, but I haven't seen that tenacious, in-your-face attitude that Cincinnati's known for. Jeffries to Burrow, and Nelson steps in. Actually may have slid in and under Burrow, but did a good job of convincing the officials otherwise.
31-26, lead is 5. Gibson finds Van Exel, and he is shadowed by Corey Alexander. Martin, turnaround jumper, excellent shot.
He needs more touches. This Cincinnati team thrives on turning you over and getting transition baskets. And if they don't do that, they have a tendency to struggle in the half court because they really don't have pure shooters. So unless they can throw it inside to Martin and Blunt, they're a team that's going to struggle from the perimeter.
Works hard for the basket, and that nice soft touch pays off.
Well, he knows he can get his shot off on Martin. See, Martin gets off the floor quickly. He's strong, but he's given up about 20 pounds and about 2+ inches to Burrow. So I would expect Junior Burrow to really salivate when he catches it in the paint and get busy.
Lead is 5, 33-28. Gibson. Whoa. Van Exel's shot again will not go. He's 1 of 8 now from 3-point range. Williford. Wonderful shot. 33-30.
Now, if you're Cincinnati, you need a good shot, and I think you've got to probe inside and try to throw it inside to Eric Martin and see if he can get to work for you. or Corey Blunt, one of those two.
This foul is called on Van Exel. Cincinnati hit 4 of its first 6 shots, then 6 of the next 27, and 4 of the last 10. They have grown frigid.
Yeah, that paints a pretty dramatic picture. And again, in large part due to their inability to get the easy baskets they're used to by forcing turnover.
That last foul was not called on Van Exel. It was called on Gibson, his 30s on the bench. There's Van Exel. This time it's on Van Exel.
And he just got teed up, too.
Put him on the driving range.
Here you take a look. He's going to leave his feet trying to make the pass. And I can understand his disappointment. I mean, Cornell Parker turned around on him. As Van Exel made contact, the defender has to be stationary. Cornell Parker was turning around, and then because of the demonstrative way in which he reacted, Nick Van Exel picked up the tee.
And the tee counts as his 3rd personal.
That's right.
Alexander gets them both. The lead is 1. Jason Williford will inbound. And Virginia has a chance to reclaim the lead. At last held at 10-9. Alexander with the entry pass to Jeffries. Got it. Dandy bit of passing.
Excellent angle for that pass by Alexander. Lean to the baseline side and put it right where Jeffries could catch it and get to work.
Foul away from the bow on Jeffries, I believe, number 42.
There you go. Nose to nose. Voice to voice. And Jeffries with the smile. Everything is good-natured. Cincinnati now in danger of losing their poise. Why? Because they haven't played the way they want to play. They want to turn you over. They haven't been able to do that. They pounded the offensive glass, and yet they're down by a point, and that is frustrating to them right now. They've got to regroup and regain their composure here.
They trail by 1, 16-18 remaining. Van Exel dishes to Blunt. Got it.
Great catch. That was a hot pass in tight quarters. Good catch and immediate finish by Blunt.
Corey Blunt is the first man in double digits. He's got 11. Pass from Alexander. Nice scoop shot by Williford.
You know, you and I were talking during the day about what would Virginia have to do to beat this team. Well, they had to handle the pressure, but they needed a complimentary guy to step up and give them some type of production. And so far in the second half, Williford has been a key man for him.
Martin. And he'll shoot 2.
Martin has tremendous hops, the ability to elevate and shoot over people. I mean, he really bounces off of the floor. And they're still jaw-jacking in there.
We're going to talk about it a little bit.
The comedian and Ted Jeffries huddled up with Dave Libby and Dave Hall.
Now Junior Burrow, number 4, comes back in. Yuri Barnes will get a rest, and things have calmed down.
There's a little push and shove. You know, Terry Nelson, aspiring to be a comedian, doesn't want to give up center stage here.
Well, they're still going at each other verbally.
Well, the key here is to not back down, but also realize that you don't need to talk to stand up. You know what I mean? You can be composed and not willing to take anything, but you don't have to respond to the verbal sparring. I mean, it's much easier for me to say that right here than it is for those guys out there that are actually hearing the antagonistic verbiage.
Van Exel was trying to sneak into the free throw line, but it is Corey Blunt who was fouled. Van Exel was hanging around the free throw line.
And now we're going to have an official head to the scorer's table and try to get the wrinkles out of this thing.
It's Eric Martin and not Blunt. That's what the deal is. It was 4 instead of 44. That's right. So Martin, who had gone,
it happened so long ago, we forgot who was supposed to be at the line.
Everybody got a second breath, or some of them did. Now Martin will shoot 2. He gets one more, and this will tie it up at 15:32 remaining in the ball game. We are tied at 36 with 15:32 to go in the game. So they meet next in what should be a terrific matchup here at the Meadowlands.
Yeah, pretty much contrasting styles. Carolina with size and depth. Arkansas with speed and depth. So it should be interesting when those two hook up in a bit.
Burrow takes the jumper and has it fall. He's got 10.
You know, I talked to Corey Alexander before the game, and I said, are you going to try to beat the pressure yourself? He said, when possible, but we need other guys to step up and help me ball handling, and we need a strong night from Junior Burrow.
It's been strong enough so far. Rebound Virginia, and a chance for their largest lead of the ball game. Burrow again takes the jumper.
Here it comes. He knows his shot can't be bothered, and when he operates in that 12 to 14-foot range, he's got a sweet stroke.
Down by 7 at the half. They have outscored Cincinnati by 11 in the first 6 minutes of the second half. Bob Huggins is going back to his bench. They're going to get Eric Martin back in the lineup. Van Exel tries to pop out.
See, they really don't have a perimeter shooter other than Durden, and Virginia knows that, so they're going to really try to step into his space.
Here's Van Exel. It still won't go. Rebound. Up and not in.
Attacking the pressure. Here you see it from the high angle. That's Parker, gets it centered to Burrow. Excellent control here. One bounce, pull up, mark it up. Let's go play D.
There's the 11-point margin we just spoke about. 16 to 5 in this half. Van Exel is now 3 of 15. And Nelson misfires on the free throw. There's Van Exel. Hit his first 2 shots, 1 of 12 since then. Rebound Burrow. Loose ball Virginia. What a struggle, and it's Virginia ball.
Boy, they're letting them hoop down inside, aren't they? I think they're going to turn around that call, Vern. Here you take a look. Burrow smothered by Blunt and Bostic. Loose ball, bodies flying. And then there's Parker stepping in, knocking it away from Blunt. Good turnaround on that call by the official.
Bostic muscles for the shot. Bloodies his lip, and he'll shoot free throws. Curtis Bostic, the sophomore from Rocky Marciano's hometown, Brockton, Mass. Looked like a brawler then.
Yeah, he certainly did. You know, he was a state champion kickboxer.
I can imagine.
With that body and athleticism, I tell you what, if you're going into the paint tonight, as we say on the playground, you must come correct.
You teach me something every week.
Which means get in there strong and businesslike.
You must come correct.
That's right. Come correct.
Leave.
No. Come correct.
You can't dress it up.
No,
huh?
you can't. No.
Okay. 40-37, Virginia leads. The number 6 seed against the number 2. Bostic with the steal. Durden pulls up, takes the jumper, and hits it.
Strong move. Good balance, though. The 2-foot jump stop gave him a good base to finish.
40-39. Parker at the other end. Offensive foul on Cornell Parker. And it was Bostic who stood his ground.
Bostic said he doesn't feel good after a game if he's not sore. And we've seen twice now on the offensive end, he got in there and stuck his nose in, and here he gives up that twisted up body to draw the charge on Parker. And from that look, seemed like a good call.
40-39, a chance for Cincinnati to reclaim the lead with 13:25 remaining. Only the 4th team these two teams have ever met. Last time was 31 years ago. Van Exel. Blunt. 13 points for Blunt. And the Bearcats back on top. Foul on Durden.
You can't drop a sweeter dime than this. Penetrate and then lay it around the defender right into the lap of Corey Blunt, and the big fella turns it over inside.
Terrence Gibson checks back in now for Cincinnati, replacing Roselle Durden. And Doug Smith is in the lineup now for Virginia, the senior. Number 11 will inbound. Finds Burrow. Alexander tries to pop out. They've got Gibson on him. Jeffries blows by Blunt, but misfires on the ball. And a 41-40 score.
Jeff Jones liked that aggressive move. The execution a little faulty, but the idea just what Virginia needs.
Van Exel appealing to the crowd to give them a little vocal stimulus here. Shot too short. Good harassment. Now here's Smith at the other end for Virginia. Stolen and re-obtained by Alexander. Nifty play. Here's Van Exel. And he misses again. If they said they weren't worried about Van Exel's shooting woes before the game, they certainly are now.
Point blank range. Look at this play by Blunt to dive and get it ahead. And then Doug Smith continues to chase down the ball. And Bob Huggins can't believe that one didn't go down. And Nick Van Exel going to have a chance to sit down for a moment.
3rd team All-American. Point guard who's averaging 18 points a game.
Sometimes you can try a little too hard. I mean, Nick has struggled in the first 2 tournament games. He's an 18, 19 point per game scorer. Feeling maybe that his team needs him to produce some points tonight, and hasn't gotten it going here tonight.
Season field goal percentage of 39% tonight. He is 3 of 16, and for the tournament, under 20% now. He had 7 points against Coppin State, 3 against New Mexico State.
And they really didn't need his numbers in those 2 games because Eric Martin and Terrence Gibson were carrying the offensive load. But from the start tonight, it appeared to me that Nick Van Exel was really looking to be aggressive scoring the ball. Got his first 2 to go, and since then, it's been a real struggle.
41 all with 11:57 to go. Cincinnati, a Final Four team a year ago, losers to Michigan by only 4, 76-72. Martin, nice dish. And Gibson gets the layup. 43-41.
Dribble penetration always creates problems, especially when you get into the paint area. Good swing.
Alexander for 3.
Beautiful find from the middle to the weak side.
Alexander with 11 points and Virginia with a 1-point edge.
See, that kind of look available because Cincinnati is so ball conscious defensively. They really overload to the ball side. So if you get it to the weak side, you should get good looks.
Bostic tries to cut. The ball is kicked out of bounds by Cornell Parker. The 3-point play by Corey Alexander has put Virginia up by 1.
My father grew up in the Depression. I grew up in the 60s. He fought a war and I didn't. All we ever saw in each other were the differences. I think we fought because we believed there'd always be time to take things.
Kansas beat the Hoosiers at the Hoosier Dome during the regular season. And that should be a day. You take a look at those four teams. You've got a 1 and a 3 versus a 1 and a 2. So far, the NCAA selection committee looking very good in how they seeded the teams and how things have turned out to this point.
Van Exel is back in. Meanwhile, of a game out in Seattle, look at Michigan and George Washington. 35-33 at the half.
No wonder the skeptics still abound.
They are abounding all over.
Yeah, Michigan at one point seemed to be in full control. I think we saw a score of 15-2.
Right. Van Exel trying to find that shooting touch again. He'll dish it to Blunt. And it doesn't go. Rebound. Martin with the putback.
So often rebounding is about the second effort, and Martin's so quick off his feet that he's able to make that second jump before anybody reacts to him.
Eric Martin of Cincinnati guilty of the foul. That is his third. The Bearcats in a struggle. They lead by 1. They led by 7 at the half, but Virginia outscored them on a 16-5 run to take a 4-point lead here in the second half. And now Virginia has a chance, trailing by 1, to go back into the lead. Corey Alexander at the line, the leading scorer for the Cavaliers. He has 11. And it stays at that mark. And on the front end of the 1-1, Virginia on the misfire stays behind. Cincinnati's Nick Van Exel, 3 of 16 from the field after hitting his first 2. He's got the ball right now.
To his credit, though, the last couple of times he's tried to dish the ball on penetration.
Corey Blunt gets 2 more. And it's a 3-point Cincinnati lead. Nice pass. Whoa!
Get it to the middle, turn and see what you've got, and then find the open guy and get to the rack.
Virginia refuses to fall back. They've never trailed in double digits, and we have not seen the intensity from Cincinnati that we expected tonight.
And I think part of that intensity is due to their defense, but also when you get going offensively, I think that can soup you up in terms of intensity. Get it to the middle. Great look by Jeffries. I mean, he caught it and turned, saw what he had, and Yuri Barnes made it all work.
Now number 4, Junior Burrow checks back in. Yuri Barnes picks up his 3rd foul and heads to the bench. And that is also the 7th team foul, so Cincinnati is at the line.
You know, Vern, the point you made is a good one about Cincinnati lacking that intensity that they showed, especially in the first 2 games in the tournament. But part of that intensity is fueled as they turn you over and get 3 or 4 consecutive baskets and really get you on their heels. They haven't been able to get you on your heels. They really haven't been able to do that. So it's been more of a grinded out type of an affair.
This is a Cincinnati team that in its first 2 games won by an average of 32 points and was in the 90s both times. And here they are sitting on a 49-46 lead with 9:25 to go. Meadowlands Arena, the Eastern Regional Semifinal. This foul is called on Terry Nelson, number 33. Just to recap for you, Cincinnati jumped out to a 7-0 lead. Virginia came back and claimed a lead of 10-9. Then the Bearcats extended the lead once they'd reobtained it to as many as 8 points. They were up by 7 at the half. But Bob Huggins' team outscored 16-5 in the opening moments of the second half. Fell back by 4, and they now lead by 3. It's kind of a teeter-totter. And now it stays at 49-46.
Well, that's 2 front ends of 1-1 on back-to-back possessions that Virginia has not capitalized on.
A Virginia team that as a club is hitting 65% for the season from the free throw line. Van Exel pops it for 3. The slump has been stymied for the moment. And the lead is 6 for the Cincinnati Bearcats. Double down on Jason Williford.
Take a look at Van Exel. Just going to back off behind the screen. Little brush screen by Blunt. Now see, Alexander goes behind the screen right there, and that gives Van Exel the space he needs to drain that three.
At the other end of the court, it was Gibson defensively who knocked it into Jason Williford and off of him. 17 Virginia turnovers, and Van Exel. In the corner, gets it back. 8:20 remaining, 52-46.
Corey Blunt got the roll.
Blunt's got 17 points, and the lead is 8. This is as large. Well, it was a 9-point lead at one point in the first half. Cornell Parker. Another turnover. Saves it. Van Exel. Nelson got away with a shove.
Well, when you keep your hands close to your body, you can push and get away with it. And Jeff Jones needs a timeout.
Yep, he's going to call for one as soon as they get across the timeline.
He's feeling it now. Nick Van Exel, back-to-back triples.
For April 3rd on CBS.
Now with 14 points, and Cincinnati on a 14-2 run. They're up by 11.
Well, they average 9 more field goal attempts than the opposition, because they turn you over and they go buffet style on the offensive glass. Plenty of second shots. That's been pretty much the difference for Cincinnati, in addition to Nick Van Exel with the back-to-back threes.
Burrow, too strong. Got his own rebound. Excellent effort. Junior Burrow, he's got 15 points to lead all Virginia scorers.
Well, you called it. Strong work on the offensive glass, and I've said this before, but when you shoot it inside, if you miss, you should be the guy that has the first chance to get it, because you know how the ball's going to come off based on how it's come off your hands.
Van Exel, that's for 2. Well, you said it, he is really streaky.
Yeah, he's very streaky. He made his first 2, then he missed just about everything between. Now he's made it his last 3 out of 4, including a couple of threes.
59-48. We near the 6-minute mark. Back it goes to Williford. Off the glass and in. 9 points, Cincinnati edge. Winner of this game gets either North Carolina or Arkansas. They meet here 30 minutes after the conclusion of this one. A steal by Williford. Corey Alexander, too strong. Williford.
Oh, my.
Whoa, what an effort.
Never quit on it, young fellas out there watching. Never give up on the play. Williford made the steal and then gets the second shot.
Williford with 12 points, 59-52. The lead is 7. In the corner, back it comes to Eric Martin. .510 to go in regulation. Shot clock is down to 10. Van Exel wanted a foul, didn't get one. Virginia, Williford. Parker for 3. Rebound, Martin of Cincinnati. Foul on Corey Alexander. We've got the Arkansas North Carolina coming up here, and out in Seattle the second game tonight will be Temple against Vanderbilt. And in the West, Michigan and George Washington at the half. Michigan, the team that defeated Cincinnati in the semifinals of the Final Four last year. And we'll be sending this audience out west to see the conclusion of that game as soon as this one is over. Gibson at the line, no, missed the front end of the 1-and-1. 59-52. Quickly out to Van Exel from Corey Blunt. Tried to get a little cute.
Yeah, was looking to make a spectacular play and lost the basketball in a two-on-one situation. You want to make the simple play here. Van Exel trying to get tricky and clever and loses the orange.
Turnover is now 18-14. Good defensive job by Gibson. Here's Burrow. No. Martin rebound. Points off turnovers. Cincinnati leading. That was 8 rebounds for Eric Martin. 3:50 to go. Bostic. And Jeffries. And it's Jeffries with the foul. Gary Barnes comes back in with his 3 fouls. Jeffries, who just picked up his 3rd, will get a rest. And Bostic goes to the free throw line. Jason Williford instead. Well, the Southeast Conference has done quite well. All the #1 seeds are still active.
And you look at what Kentucky has done. They have just drummed their opposition.
Until tonight, Cincinnati had drummed its opposition. This is the 11th Cincinnati steal.
Oh, that's a rally-wrecking possession because Virginia had numbers there, and Nick Van Exel just cleverly anticipated where Smith was going with it.
Alexander, no. Van Exel rebound. I will show you what I've learned from you. There'll be no jaw-jacking after the rally record.
Nice segue.
That would have been a nice exclamation point. Watch the steal from Nick Van Exel. And then the dunk by Eric Martin. That gave Cincinnati a 10-point edge with 3:01 remaining. In college, not high school, at Ohio State, Cincinnati beat the Buckeyes. John Havlicek, there's his son Chris, a member of the Virginia team. And this Bearcat team won the national championship in 1961-62 under Ed Junker as the coach. Here's Doug Smith. Quick outlet pass, Van Exel. And they'll bring it back and work on the clock. They're up by 10. The winner gets North Carolina or Arkansas. They meet after this game. And then don't forget tomorrow a doubleheader. In the Southeast, it's Kentucky against Florida State. Then from St. Louis, Indiana against Kansas. Taken away. Jason Williford saves it for Virginia. But they need a lot of points in a short time.
And one way to do that is to try to drive and get yourself to the free throw line.
Jeffries. That's good. 62-54.
Cincinnati has to continue to look to score the basketball. You want to be patient, but you don't want to be on your heels. If a good shot is available, you've got to look at knocking it down.
1:45 remaining in the game. Foul is called on Corey Alexander. That's his 3rd and the team 10th, shooting 2. Out west, Michigan and George Washington, 2-point lead for Michigan at the half. And coming up next from Seattle, Vanderbilt takes on Temple.
Let's go here.
It's 41-37, still tight, and we'll take you west to show you the final moments of the Michigan encounter.
Well, that Vanderbilt Temple game will be interesting. John Chaney has really got his club on a run of late. Not real deep, but they get contributions in the point column from 3 or 4 starters. They try to confuse you defensively. They'll throw a lot of different looks at you defensively. Billy McCaffrey has had an outstanding year for Vanderbilt.
Van Exel gets 1 of 2. Alexander denied the 3, and that's stolen. Off to Eric Martin. It'll be Virginia's ball. 90 seconds to go. Jeff Jones up and still coaching hard. His team down by 9. From the corner, air ball. Martin fouled by Smith. That's the first for Smith. Jeff Jones' wife, Lisa, who is a working journalist, photojournalist.
Yeah, she gets to work out, as does her husband.
And at the line, Eric Martin.
Well, Cincinnati wasn't quite as stifling with their pressure, but nonetheless, they put together enough energy defensively and got enough key baskets and penetrations from Nick Van Exel this half to stretch this out to a double-digit cushion.
And unless Cincinnati gets 7 points, this will be the 22nd time this season that that Cincinnati has held an opponent under 60 points. They are defensive wizards. Offensive foul. Four on Parker. Roselle Durden will check in now for Terrence Gibson. Alan Jackson did not see action tonight. He is normally the starting guard, a senior at the off guard. Probably will not play on Sunday if Cincinnati advances. Chances are that he will have arthroscopic surgery for cartilage tear next week, win or lose. And it's going to be win.
Oh, yeah. They put the sentence on this one.
Smith takes the 3. Nope, he was inside. Van Exel.
And it's going to look a lot much worse on the scoreboard than it actually was, as Cincinnati now
Alexander misfires on the shot. And Martin gets it back into the hands of Van Exel, who will shoot free throws with 27.7 seconds remaining. Well, this young man overcame a horrid shooting night. He got streaky in the second half, and he also chipped in with 10 assists and 2 steals.
Well, he knows he has the green light to get shots up. He also knows that Bobby Huggins has tremendous confidence in him, as do his teammates, to run the show, and they'll ride his poor periods knowing that he can make enough winning plays night in and night out.
Jeffries is out. 41-37 Michigan with 15 minutes remaining in that. And we will take all of you out to Seattle for the final moments of Michigan, George Washington. Van Exel.
Well, it wasn't pretty, but I'd much rather have a car that's running than one that's spotless and clean. And I'm sure Cincinnati would much rather have the victory than a pretty picture.
And they're going to get it. They're up 71-54. And now both coaches are going to their benches. Here's Doug Smith. And they try and save it. That's Rock Mitchell, a senior from Richmond, Virginia. And it's out of bounds, and Cincinnati will inbound. Chris Alexander, a freshman, comes off the bench now for Jeff Jones' team. So Cincinnati's going to go 27-4 and into the Elite Eight for the second year in a row. And hopes alive for the third national championship for the Bearcats. They got them back-to-back 30 years ago.
This team is really playing with a lot of confidence. They're together. They're hard-working. And again, this hasn't been a pretty victory, but they continue to desire the respect of the media and the fans. And if you win enough, it ultimately comes your way.
Bearcats will get either North Carolina or Arkansas. That ball is stolen by Rock Mitchell. Saves it, puts up the shot, no. And this one is in the books. Nick Van Exel leads the way in the second half. 19 points, 11 assists, and 2 steals. So the Bearcats, the number 2 seed in the East, advance to Sunday's game, where they'll take on either North Carolina or Arkansas. Our Chevrolet players of the game are Nick Van Exel of Cincinnati and Junior Burroughs of Virginia. Burroughs finishes the night with 15 points. A check in the amount of $1,000 to be donated to each college's general scholarship fund to further assist qualified students in all chosen academic fields. Our final 71-54 for Clark Kellogg and Andrea Joyce. I'm Vern Lundquist. Right now, let's go back to Pat O'Brien in our New York studios.
All right, Vern, good job. Thank you. So you can advance Cincinnati, as we all have in our brackets here. They will play the winner of North Carolina and Arkansas, and that's in our second tier of games tonight. Also from East Rutherford, Arkansas and North Carolina. Most of you will see that game. Some of you will see Temple and Vanderbilt, so we have high hopes for 2 more good games tonight. A good one going on out in Seattle right now. Surprisingly, George Washington University is hanging in there against the Michigan Wolverines. 41-37 is the score in the second half. Here's Jim Nantz and Billy Packer.
Michigan now has scored 6 unanswered. And shot selection in the last few minutes by George Washington has been dubious.
It has hurt him, and of course, Doré was getting some confidence. They just started to go back to him.
Oh, he walked up and down with it.
Here we see Weber so quick on the inside, those powerful hands. Great finisher. Excellent feed by Jackson as well, Jim. On the perfect side, Doré could not get there. Jim, you're talking about that club in 1954. They lost to NC State in the first round. Corky Devlin, Joe Hullop, their great all-time leading scorer. The club I was talking about is that 43 team. They won the Southern Conference, but they did not get into the NCAA tournament because not every conference champion went to those days.
You're holding 32.
Well, a foul on Brigham for holding.
You mentioned that 61 team. That was a team led by John Feldman and a guy by the name of Dick Markowitz, who has always been a big GW supporter. Had lunch with him today. Young man from Allentown, PA, now lives here on the West Coast. So proud of his team. A long time since they've been here.
Rose banks it home. And the lead is back to 8 after George Washington caught him at 37. Evans is in, number 12. Kwame Evans for the Colonials.
He's been hot in the tournament so far. See if he can get something rolling. Nice switch by Weber, and he hits it.
That's a 2. Stoop picked up by Lenny Wirtz. He had a foot on the line. Oh, and a charge on Rose. Evans drew it.
Hey, and we just mentioned, we'll see this call right here on Jalen. It's going to be made by a referee named Lenny Wirtz. Jim, you mentioned 1961.
That was the first year he went in the Final Four.
Exactly. Lenny Wirtz refereed the Final Four in 1961. Has that man been around, or has he been around?
He has officiated in the Final Four in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and still possible for the 90s.
Right.
Oh, what a big shot that is. There's the 3 by Nimbo Hammonds.
Nice catch by Jackson.
Break time. Brigham comes down on Weber. 45-42 Michigan.
Nice piece of officiating there. Weber thinks he's going to the foul line, but he's not, because he had not yet gotten off the shot.
George Washington foul on number 30.
Well, tomorrow on CBS, continuing coverage of the tournament starts at 3 o'clock Eastern time with the Road to the Final Four show. That's Pat and Mike and Digger, along with Mike Krzyzewski. Florida State and Kentucky, the Southeast final, followed by Kansas, Indiana, the Midwest final.
Isn't that interesting? Kansas, Indiana, two teams that started off our season this year at CBS. We talked about the Magnificent Seven. They certainly have made a move in this tournament.
Krzyzewski will be our special guest tomorrow. And King gets it. Turn around. Jackson aggressively puts it back.
Basket by Ray
Yeah, the two
Jackson.
Texans that time stood tall. Jones saying, where did they come from? Trying to get some help from the referee.
Jones. Wow, how did he get that one to drop? Good one by Vaughn Jones.
We said the number 3 scorer in DeMatha history played for Morgan Wooten. Any guy that can score a lot of points to figure out how to get it up.
Brigham gets it back. That's Jones' third all-time to Adrian Dantley, AD, and Ernie Cage. Three-point shot short. On the floor, and King has it.
Things are getting a little frenetic right now.
Weber
tries to make
back to Howard. No charge. Rose back. Oh, how did they not score on that trip?
Tried to get too cute. That's how, Jim. Poor execution by Michigan.
Under 12 to go. Michigan leading by 3.
Had the numbers there. It's kind of sloppy passing. Michigan hasn't lost a game since that 1-point loss to Indiana. Pretty good string of games.
Lost twice this year to Indiana, and Rose called for another one. Trying to fight through a pick. That's his second. And the seventh team foul against Michigan, so a 1-and-1.
Well, Jim, I wonder if that means anything. In 1989, Michigan won the national championship, as we pointed out right here. In that year, Michigan won the Rose Bowl. In that year, Michigan won a Christmas tournament in Hawaii. In that year, they lost to IU in Ann Arbor. That's 3 out of 4. And they have yet to find out if they will win the basketball championship.
Yeah, they got to get by this team, though, that's giving them
all they can handle.
Yep, much more of a fight than anyone expected. And Michael Talley comes in for the first time tonight. Rose will rest. One more for Jones.
You've got to be impressed with what Mike Jarvis has done in this game, because it started off, they missed their first 10 shots, as you pointed out, Jim. He kept his team together, changed the entire way they were playing with taking Dare out of there. He's got it right back in here fighting for a lead.
Back within 1. The teams will head to the benches for a break. They tied it at 37. Got down by 8. Now back within 1. It's a thriller.
I saw those lights, and even though I was only 5, I knew something terrible had happened. First, I saw the cars. They
certainly felt here in the second half. They're back to the press.
Michigan has never trailed in this game.
Jackson stayed outside. If he'd have filled the spot right there, he might have had an easy jump shot from about 18 feet. There's the zone. Good pressure on the inside. No passing lane there. Nice job by Holland.
Holland reached in, knocked it out. Holland, senior from Asbury Park, New Jersey. Maybe has a career in politics forthcoming.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's a turnover. Belongs to GW with a chance to take that lead for the first time.
Now, Jim, now we talked about the psychological aspect of this game. If GW could get a lead, then you start seeing the Michigan guys looking up at that clock a little bit and saying, hey, is this possible? We're going home.
Mo Moses in the game on number 44 for George Washington, former Pitt player.
And this bench is playing so confidently for GW. Searle's out of the game right now.
Dare is out.
Yep. Holland wanting it in the low post.
Holland, 2 players around him. Tough move. He got to go. They've taken the lead for the first time.
Now you're Michigan, and you're being pressed because GW is starting to convert.
48-47, George Washington.
And let's see. I don't know if Jones realizes the defense they're in. Playing out awful high for the zone. There he is, 1-3-1. Matching up a little bit now.
On a trying to run to take the lead and almost a steal by Holland.
I'll tell you what, Michigan, Jim, is getting very nervous. Steve Fisher may have to go timeout. Get that team focused back.
Rose returns. Back for Talley.
Yeah, you notice when Juwan Howard got the ball in the low post that time, Jim, like he was in a hurry. You know, you could see his mind in a hurry. His feet were in a hurry.
But he was swarmed by 3 players in a hurry, too.
Yep.
Forced the turnover.
Well, that's a sign that you're not relaxing and staying in the offense. Holland is in the lane for what seems like 8. They're hitting everything. Hitting everything.
Omo Moses. Played a year in Pittsburgh. 3-point lead. The 12th seed in the West.
We talked about transfers. We'll see plenty of them in the next game. You can see Michigan is just working so hard to get things off.
Weber gets it to drop, and he can tie it at the line.
And you see, Chris, look at the expressions on the Michigan face. And Jim, I'll go back to your call on Jimmy King with the taunting after they made that dunk. You know, there were smiles and taunting. Now all of a sudden there seems to be great concern. There's Weber with those good hands on the inside. Nice putback.
Chris Weber at the line, 1 shot.
If we don't win the national championship, you bet our season will be a failure, said Chris Weber, who ties it at 50.
Number 33.
11 for Weber tonight.
The other thing that Michigan has not been able to do is to force some turnovers on the defensive end of the floor. TW about getting what they want.
Approaching 9 minutes remaining. Tied at 50. Jones on the drive, no foul, but Rose was on the line.
Well, there was one stat that I didn't agree with at halftime, and that was the fact that they showed Michigan with no block shots. We remember Rose as an example, blocked 2 from behind on jumpers. Got another one there, but stepped out of bounds. This Michigan club on the year, 174 blocks coming into the game. Last year they set an all-time team record with 182.
Holland mishandled it. Turnover. Michigan can regain the lead. Chris Weber talking to his teammates. This is one thing about Chris Weber I really admire. He seems to take his team and says, hey, ride my back. And he wants him pumped up. I saw it in the UCLA game, too.
He wants that ball. We noticed in the Duke game earlier this year. And he wants the ball in a big situation. And he wants them to get back into their offense.
Rose. In and out. Almost went down twice. Hammonds gets the rebound. 8:30 remaining.
King pretty tough with the ball. Nice dribbling by Jones. King thinks he can steal it from him. You can sense that.
Dare back into the George Washington lineup. Weber guarding him. Moses stripped away. No, they say it still belongs to the Colonials. And the Colonials will bring in Bill Brigham for Sonny Holland.
You notice Jim, Dare, of course, not having a big offensive game. Here's that lob I thought they'd use earlier.
Dare.
And foul one.
He has provided valuable minutes off the bench as Vaughn Jones. Dare still has not hit a shot from the floor. His air ball retrieved by Jones and the putback.
But Jim, what happened there is on the lob, you can see how many teams have been able to lob the ball over Chris Weber to a player. Dare kept that ball alive by not getting it blocked, making it available for Jones in the putback.
And a 3-point lead. 53-50.
Number 12.
One time, well, the biggest upset for a 1 seed in this tournament was 1986. LSU, an 11 seed, beat Kentucky in the Southeast. 11 over a 1. This would be a 12 over 1 if it pans out for that man.
Well, there's Dale Brown, one of the great runs that the made in the NCAA tournament.
Took him all the way to Dallas in the Final Four.
Right.
Moses right back in for Jones. So this would have to be considered, Billy, one of the biggest upsets if they pulled it off in NCAA history.
Oh, the basket's going to count.
Oh, Jones.
Jalen
got the
snuck
shot
around. Let's see if that basket's going to count. No basket.
No
Before
basket.
the shot.
But there was an indication there for a moment, didn't you?
I thought he was going to call it.
George Washington foul.
Momo Moses whistled for his third.
This is his third.
Well, as
The
active
16th
as Chris
foul.
Webber is right now, you would think that Jalen would get him the ball.
And a block
No shot.
outside. This will be the 7th team foul against George Washington, putting Jalen Rose on the line.
Washington foul on number 44.
Rose, of course, interesting last year in the regional. They were in the Southeast last year. He was the MVP of that regional tournament. Remember how well he played?
Yes,
particularly
led
that
them
Ohio State game.
over Ohio State in overtime. They'll have to bring in Alvin Pearsall because Momo Moses picked up some quick ones. He has 4 and will head to the bench. Rose with 8 points tonight, giving him an even 500 on the season.
You know, last year he set as a freshman the all-time freshman scoring record
1-1
at Michigan.
This season his scoring average down a couple
Down a little
of
bit.
points. Yeah.
And that's to be expected because everybody else has upped their game in regard to offensive ability, particularly Jimmy King and Ray Jackson.
Still to come tonight, Arkansas and North Carolina. They'll be tipping in about 15 minutes. Later, Temple and Vanderbilt on this floor. Jalen drops them both. So Rose's 2 free throws brings the Fab 5 within 1. Under 8 to go. Now with a 1-point lead, they break the press. George Washington.
With that kind of record, Jim, I figured you were probably that far away from the court in those days, too.
That's right. On the sidelines a lot.
What I see happening, Jim, the rest of the way is shot selection being of paramount importance. We saw how it's changed the flow of the game so far today. Searles got carried away. There's a shot you don't want to take.
Boy, Hammond's so far off the mark. He was 4 or 5 feet out
exactly
of the 3-point line.
I think now you want to go down inside to Howard. Go down inside.
Oh, dipped out.
Go down inside to Weber. Get some good shots.
All with his 4th rebound, Billy. Now Kwame Evans.
Quick. Too quick on the shot.
They have a 1-point lead. They fire up a couple of threes. Now Michigan to take back the lead. King from the corner. They got it. And that's a 3-point basket by Jimmy King. Now with 10 points.
And if you're Mike Jarvis, you want to slow this club down, get back into the offense. He's coming back with Holland. When Daray's open, they don't let him touch the ball.
Brigham wanting to drive. Left-handed.
Wow.
And to the line he will go. Jawan Howard. His 3rd.
Brigham's big game this year was against UNC Charlotte, where he scored 18. And you know what's interesting? You know, his career high in assists was at Boston U against Michigan. 5 assists.
Cincinnati tonight has already made it to the regional final in the East. We'll play the winner of North Carolina, Arkansas, coming up on CBS in about 10 minutes. Most of you will see it.
Jim, Cincinnati's been blowing people away before that game. Virginia able to stay with them with their tough and tenacious defense for a while. But the one that's wild, there you see some foul trouble. But I think GW's bench can handle that. The thing that's wild to me in this tournament, how about Kentucky? Before their opponents have scored 25 points in the last 5 games, they've scored 123. Is that awesome or not?
Boy, they just put away opponents early, including Wake last night. That's all on Sunday.
Dribbling by Jackson. He was caught in a bad place in the trap.
Rose on the drive. Almost got it to drop.
And do they call a charge? Brigham with another heady play, the 5th-year senior.
Rose is incredulous. They call it on him, his 3rd.
Michigan foul on number 5.
Jalen making some bad decisions, too, I think. As the leader of this club, get the ball to Weber and Howard. Make the plays easy down the stretch.
55-54 Michigan, 6:20 remaining.
Jalen switches out on Hammond.
A steal. Yep. Rose forced it. Weber bumped by Searles. Searles will be called for it.
But, Jim, this is one of the things that you don't worry about too much. If you're a deep team, you'd like to have Michigan on that foul line with all the problems that they've had from the line this year. And here we have Weber going on the line, as we pointed out, just a 54% free throw shooter.
He's in a 1-on-1, Billy. Had a hamstring injury that was ailing him early in the week, missed practice on Tuesday. He's fine now. He says it'll take a lot more than that to disrupt my game. Remember, he played with that broken nose during the season. Misses the front end, but look at this. Howard right back.
Get it. A very nice defensive play by Holland.
Jimmy King comes out of the pack. King has hit a big three, and now with a big pickup here.
They want to go down inside. Here comes Weber across.
32 blue, they call it. Bill Brigham of George Washington, his fourth.
He was trying to fight and beat Chris Weber to the spot down low.
Number 32.
You see him coming across. Remember the play earlier where I said that Weber was a little lazy trying to get there? Well, that wasn't the case that time for Brigham. He just tried to beat him and got called for the holding.
1-1.
Weber again this year, Big Ten leading rebounder. 2 years in a row now he's won that.
1-1.
That looked better.
The next foul against George Washington will give him 10.5 and put Michigan the rest of the game into the two-shot situation.
One of the things about this young man shows you his courage is when he broke that nose the first game he came back to that box, he blocked 7 shots against Minnesota. Not afraid to stick it in there.
He took a pop in that game right back in the face. He hits 1 of 2. Michigan leads by 2.
There's that weak side double down.
Kicks it over. Searles, air ball. And Howard looking for help.
Jimmy shot selection. GW just letting him get away from him. They can get better shots than that.
Tough pass, and it was stolen away. Now stolen right back. King coming up with some huge plays in the last 2 minutes.
Good play inside.
And Juwan Howard.
That's the answer for Michigan. High-low post.
Howard has 15.
Howard and Weber. Boy, he has the great stats in the game. You know what? They're so quiet the way he does it.
Mike Jarvis wants to talk it over. Timeout, George Washington. As Michigan, with 5 minutes to go, has taken the 4-point lead.
This is CBS.
Going to send him a fax, deliver it in a hurry.
Hemmons with a 3, much needed. Jackson with the rebound.
What we're seeing, Jim, it's very similar to the very start of this game. Remember when GW just decided they were going to go ahead and shoot the ball from the perimeter? That's going to be Howard on a push-off.
Howard trying to gain position, instead gains his 4th.
And Jim, let me tell you something else. We're at 4:36, all right? Michigan has not lost any games this year in which they were leading at the 5-minute mark. And they're up now by 4.
Saw that stat. 3 of the last 5 games for Michigan have gone to overtime. Looking back in the tournament, their UCLA game went into overtime. And then in the regional final last year against Ohio State, they also played an overtime game. Brigham at the line.
Oh, how about this? A 54% free throw shooter nailing it. His first one tonight was an absolute air ball.
5 for 8 overall. Omo Moses, he has 4 fouls. He is in for Hammonds.
Well, Dare all the way back. You know they're going to try to, they hope they can make this free throw so they can get into their press.
Juwan Howard.
So the miss causes 2 things. Takes away a point, takes them out of their defense.
Michigan by 3 with 4:30 to go.
Oh, already showing a lot of strength in there on Weber.
Jackson will take the jumper. Tipped away. I thought it was off George Washington. They say instead off Michigan.
Brigham doing a great job inside, staying right with Juwan Howard.
Rodney Patterson cheering on his team. He played for the '89 team that was 1-27, stricken with cancer. Came back and played in their victory against Southern last week. The honorary captain of this Colonial team. He is fine now, completely recovered.
And there it is. Weber wanting to get outside with Howard.
Howard turnaround. So tough on that move, but doesn't get it to
that Ray Jackson again keeping alive. He and Jimmy King have been the answer on the board.
No shot.
It's time to whistle on
is that
George
Moses?
Washington. Call the Moses, and he'll foul out,
Yep.
Billy.
Yep. But again, Jarvis, who has used his bench so beautifully tonight. The problem now, when he comes back with Pearsall, he gives up a lot of size.
So Omo Moses fouls out.
Number 5, Alvin Pearsall, now in the lineup for George Washington.
Moses played high school ball in Cambridge, Massachusetts, where Jarvis used to be the coach.
Right. And you know, we talk about this arena. You talked about earlier, Elijah Wan went up against Ewing here, and of course, Ramil Robinson making the shots to win for Michigan, and that's where same school, and coached by Mike Jarvis in high school, right?
2 shots for Howard. Makes it a 4-point lead. We saw Sonny Holland come in for Moses. Now they take Jones out and bring in Nimbo Hammond.
Searles on the bench right now. You would think that Mike Jarvis in the last 3:49 would get that experienced scorer in the game.
Look at that, Howard, 13.
And so Michigan applauding themselves, up by 5 right now, and we'll keep you up to date on that game as it progresses. Let's go right out to the beginning, and you're just seeing the beginning of Arkansas and North Carolina. Vern Lundquist and Clark Kellogg behind the microphones. Vern?
Okay, Pat, Arkansas has the ball. We're just underway, and we'll set the starting lineup for you. This is Dwight Stewart with the ball. Scotty Thurman.